The battle between President Donald Trump and former FBI Director James Comey has evolved from political rivalry into something far more explosive, a full-blown credibility crisis inside the U.S. Department of Justice. And now, according to multiple reports, the fallout may be hitting the DOJ harder than the target itself. Do not forget to subscribe, like, and share for more updates. Thanks. Here's the question gripping Washington right now. When a justice system appears to pursue political enemies too aggressively, who actually takes the damage, the accused or the institution itself? That question exploded back into the spotlight after reports emerged that prosecutors inside the DOJ were demoralized, reassigned, or even pushed out following repeated efforts to prosecute Comey. For viewers and readers trying to follow this saga, the story is not just about Comey anymore. It's about whether America's legal institutions can survive the perception of political revenge. And that perception is growing louder. The latest controversy traces back to two separate prosecution efforts against Comey. One centered on allegations that he lied to Congress during testimony about the Russia investigation. Do not forget to subscribe, like, and share for more updates. Thanks. Another focus on Instagram post featuring seashells arranged as 8647, which Trump allies argue was a coded threat toward the president. Comey denied any violent intent, deleted the post, and apologized for the misunderstanding. But what transformed this from a legal case into a political earthquake was what happened next. Federal judges dismissed key indictments tied to the prosecutions after ruling that the prosecutor leading the cases had been improperly appointed. The decision didn't just embarrass the DOJ. It opened the door to accusations that the department had bypassed normal procedures in pursuit of a politically sensitive target. That's the kind of moment that can haunt an institution for years. Inside the DOJ, according to reporting from the Washington Post, morale reportedly cratered. Experienced prosecutors allegedly left or were demoted, and major national security cases suffered staffing disruptions while leadership focused on the Comey prosecutions. Think about that for a second. At a time when the United States faces rising cyber threats, terrorism concerns, and political polarization, one of the country's most powerful legal institutions is now accused of being consumed by internal political warfare. And regardless of where someone stands politically, that should concern everybody. Supporters of Trump argue the prosecutions were overdue accountability. They point to years of conservative anger over the FBI's handling of investigations involving Trump, the Russia probe, and allegations of institutional bias. To many on the right, Comey symbolizes an unelected intelligence and law enforcement establishment that operated above scrutiny. That sentiment is politically powerful. It resonates deeply with voters who believe federal agencies have escaped accountability for too long. But critics see something entirely different. They argue the prosecutions looked less like neutral law enforcement and more like retaliation against a longtime Trump adversary. Legal analysts from across the political spectrum question whether the charges were strong enough to justify the aggressive push. Even some conservative voices reportedly express skepticism privately. And this is where the real danger begins. Do not forget to subscribe, like, and share for more updates. Thanks. Because once Americans start believing justice depends on political loyalty, every prosecution becomes suspect. Every indictment becomes partisan theater. Every acquittal becomes proof of conspiracy for one side or another. Institutions don't collapse overnight. They erode slowly through doubt, tribalism, and repeated accusations that rules are being selectively enforced. The Comey saga has become a symbol of that erosion. Ironically, this isn't the first time the DOJ examined whether to prosecute Comey. Back in 2019, the department declined to charge him over leaked memos tied to his conversations with Trump, despite an inspector general referral. Prosecutors reportedly concluded there was insufficient evidence of criminal intent. Fast forward to 2025 and 2026, and suddenly the DOJ appears determined to revisit Comey repeatedly, even after setbacks in court. That persistence is fueling accusations that this has become personal, not procedural. And politically, both sides are weaponized in the moment. Trump allies frame the prosecutions as proof that nobody is above the law. Trump critics frame them as proof that the justice system itself is being politicized. Meanwhile, average Americans are left watching the spectacle unfold, wondering whether the DOJ still represents impartial justice, or simply priorities of whoever controls the White House. That uncertainty may be the biggest fallout of all, because once trust in institutions collapses, rebuilding it becomes nearly impossible. And in modern America, perception often matters as much as legal reality. The DOJ may still pursue additional action against Comey. Reports suggest discussions about future indictments have not completely disappeared. But every new legal move now carries enormous political baggage. Every filing will be scrutinized not just for legality, but for motive. That means the department faces a brutal dilemma. Back away, and critics will say political pressure failed. Continue, and critics will say political vengeance succeeded. Either way, the damage to public confidence may already be done. And perhaps that's the real headline here. The James Comey prosecutions are no longer just about James Comey. They become a test of whether America's justice system can survive the age of permanent political warfare.